You need a different walk-in song every week.
Like a wrestler.
Yeah, you get you a cape too.
No hot dogs, we'll have schnappers. Right. Are we going?
Yep, we're good.
We didn't do any of that stupid preamble shit.
We can ditch your top right now.
Hey,
Diss it.
why would we do that? I didn't choose this top. The
I'm
top chose me.
It's very outside your normal black on black.
Yeah, well, that's why I had to change it, because the couch is brown and I faded into the couch, apparently. So you probably never see me wearing this shirt again in the streets.
Potentially.
Mean
Could be a new look for you.
Yeah.
What is it called? Like bloke core or something like that?
What the fuck is that?
It's a TikTok thing where they wear
I'm glad I didn't know that.
soccer jerseys.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, soccer jerseys, Adidas, and like jorts. You're one pair of jorts away from bloke core.
All right, welcome to the Boardcast.
Yeah. I actually have a question for you.
Hang on, what are we doing tonight? Staff. We're going to do a business one.
Yep.
The
actually
bio.
Talk about business.
Podcast bio thing. Description says business, sport, comedy. The comedy just happens.
You clearly didn't write.
Someone, it's on there. I've seen it on one of the platforms.
But it's about, part of this podcast is about how we run our business and the lessons.
But we haven't really talked about it much.
No, so let's talk about it. And I can segue into this with a PSA because it's true. I just spoke to Al about it. So we're going
to do staff. We're talking about staff and the dramas that you have employing people.
It's one of the hardest things.
The hardest.
In running a business is to find good staff and keep them. Yep. And also how to manage staff, because everyone is so different. Like everyone learns differently, everyone takes on information differently, and also the different generations do, which you're discovering.
Man, definitely the people have changed. Like the kids are super soft compared to even 10 years ago. They were pretty cool. Like the kids were employing, they could handle a fair bit of kind of workplace bullying. Compared to today, you just can't do it.
Yeah,
you can't say anything. They start crying. It's not cool. It's not it's not fun anymore to be a bully. Not that it ever was, but
you're really painting yourself a good picture.
Yeah.
I remember
much loved.
When I did my business management course at TAFE, I had to come teach you about positive reinforcement. Yeah. I'd be like, hey, Al, staff actually need to be told they're doing a good job. And you were like, they're getting a paycheck at the end of the week. They're doing a good job. If I don't fire them, they're doing a good job.
I still feel like that. I almost did it a few weeks ago to someone who was working here.
I called you out on it too. And you were like, they've done a really good job. I'm just going to pay them a little bit extra and not tell them. And I was like, you need to tell them that they've done a good job. And you were like, she'll say it on a slip. And I'm like, but actually have the conversation.
I don't see the point of having the conversation. I just think it's weird.
Yeah.
Just if you're doing a good job, you'll probably get a pay rise at some point. If you're not, you probably won't, or you'll get fired. But that's not the new world.
No. But
anyway, what was your public service announcement?
Oh, okay. This is going to be Claire on a rant. But if you want to get a job at Borders or anywhere, do not come in with your parents. Do not have your parents write your resume. Do not have your parents come in with you and shop around with you. You should come in, hand your resume in yourself, talk to us, make eye contact with us, and then leave, essentially.
It's a very good point.
The reason why I'm saying it is I've had multiple parents come in with their child and introduce their child and talk to me about their child standing next to them, and the kids there awkwardly not having space to even say something.
In all honesty, though, that aside, how many people have we ever employed, even in the 13 odd years that you've been involved, how many people have been employed from a resume? No, that's bullshit. You were not employed from a resume.
I walked in, handed my resume in,
yeah,
and then
I don't think I ever looked at it. I don't think I ever read it.
Yeah, but that process.
Yeah.
And you hired me on the fact of how I presented myself to you. So these parents are coming in and taking that away from the child.
The kid's screwed if your parents are doing the talking.
Yeah, if your mum or dad is calling up being like, can my little kid get a job? Or when they're in the shop being like, oh, my kid would love to work here. Well, cool. You don't get him a job. He needs to come in and talk to us.
Yeah, I'd never give a kid a job based on their parents asking.
No, it's like, for me, if that happens, instant no.
Yeah, you kind of know what sort of kid they're going to be by their parents.
I'm like, the fact that you can't walk into a shop, look me in the eyes, hand in your eyes, have a conversation. I'm like, how are you going to talk to a customer?
This is the point. They've changed. The kids are not the same kids that...
I think the parents have changed too. There's so many more helicoptering parents.
Helicopter parents. Yeah, I don't know. Like the pandemic kids, that was a good point that Jamie made over there. He said that, their kids are haven't socialised as much. 14-year-old kids now were 10 when the pandemic started. So they're kind of like, they're like all these pandemic dogs that can't be taken to a dog park because they're fucking anxious. I know.
So much anxiety.
I've got one.
Yeah.
Wears a nervous jacket when it goes for a walk. It's just crazy, yeah. The kids are similar. I don't know. Anyway, let's get on with staff. What were we going to talk about? How to find, where are they coming from?
Pardon?
Where are we starting with staff, like 30 years ago?
Well, it's been a constant
problem.
Yeah. Because it's hard to find good staff. And as the business is growing now that I'm in, it's hard to find the right staff for the right job roles as well.
It's something that's happened weirdly recently, which is probably why we decided to talk about this, is that in the last sort of 6 months or so, I've seen this shift where we've had a lot of people come back.
Yeah. That
not necessarily ever got fired. They were just people that moved on and did other things and then developed skills and whatever. And now they're easy to fit into a particular role.
Yeah.
Like Liv was one of them. Liv was like out for so long, and she worked here for years when she was a little kid, and she was always okay, but never great.
Yeah.
But a few years of life, and she's come back.
And traveling and working in other jobs. Yeah. And now she's fucking amazing.
Yeah, she's really good on the shop floor, and she's really good just in general because she's had a job.
She even said, she even said today, I think she was like, yeah, well, why would you just sit and do nothing? It makes the day go so slow. Like, find shit to do. And I'm like, so good.
15-year-old Liv would have gone, I'm just going to chill and look at my phone.
Yeah. But question, who was your first staff member that you hired?
The very, very, very first full-time staff member was a girl called Karina Willoughby.
First?
Yeah, I believe so. For the first year or two, it was just me and Mike, my business partner, Mike Hockley. We were the only ones really doing any hours in the shop, and you only needed one. And then I'm pretty sure Karina Willoughby was the first. We had casuals like little Tommy Leggett, who's now, he's fairly successful in his field of choice. He's a salesman to this day, and he's a hustler.
Very good.
Like you can tell who trained him. He's a proper hustler. He does his job really well. He's a good salesman. So he sells, I'm not sure if he's selling machines anymore or materials, but he's up in the world that he's in. He was one of the early guys. But Karina, she was around for a few years. I don't know where she is now. I think she had kids, so she'd be 45, I guess. 50 maybe. She might even be my age. I'm not sure. Yeah, she was around for a few years.
Yeah. Who was the first person you fired? I'm going to say that with a smirk on my face, but it's not.
Karina.
Yeah.
First person I hired. She was definitely the first person I fired. It was a big mess too, man. It taught me a lot of lessons.
What did you learn?
I learned that you can't just fire someone. There's rules. Apparently. It's bullshit, but there's rules.
Oh, I remember you telling me the story briefly.
Look, I loved Karina. We got on great. I used to call her Beep Beep. As in Beep Beep Barina. Karina. Get it? Genius. Fucking. Anyway. Yeah, I fired her because she was she just went on this bender period of her life and it got real bad and it was dragged to work, and at some point in that she just didn't turn up for a bunch of days in a row, and I was like, well, effectively you've quit, so you can't just rock up here on the following Monday or whatever 4 or 5 days later after not appearing and have your job. It's not here anymore. Your job's gone. And she took me to the tribunal or whatever it is, the ombudsman thing, and we had to settle. It was stupid, but I just didn't realise at the time. I was only a kid myself, right? So I didn't realise you had to give 3 warnings and all that shit. So I didn't get in trouble, but we had to settle. We had to settle in a court situation. I think she got a snowboard. That's how stupid it was.
Really?
And the guy was like, look, dude, just give her whatever she wants. You're wasting your time. Okay. She doesn't want much. Don't be silly. I'm like, but I paid her all the holiday pay and everything. He went, yeah, but technically she should have got an extra week's pay or something because of
so you paid
didn't
her
give her a warning or
product.
So, yeah, she took a Palmer honeycomb snowboard. That's what the extra product was. It was fucking ridiculous. But yeah, she was the first that I hired and fired. Yeah. And she was good, man, for those years that she was there. I think it's only a couple of years, but she was good. We used to go snowboarding together and we got on really well. So she was good. She was like a really, really high-end, world-class snowboarder. Like she got to she was top 5 in the world for Boardcast or something. She was a crazy good snowboarder. I remember riding with her and thinking, holy, how does someone who's 45 kilos go that fast? It didn't make sense. Yeah, she was awesome. I got a question. I got lots of questions. Do you want to ask me more questions first?
You still hire very much on gut instinct.
100%.
And you always have. You barely look at resumes.
I don't look at resumes. I think have you ever written, like when you write a resume, how much truth goes on it?
Me, personally?
Yeah.
I haven't written one since I was 18 and I was pretty
well, if you wrote one now, in all reality of what you would write, because I know that you would consider yourself fairly skilled in like a lot of departments.
Like the ID department.
Exactly right. So you're going to write all that shit on a piece of paper, hand it to someone, and they're going to read it and think, oh, well, this girl knows it and everything. If you really think that people are putting the truth on a resume.
We spoke about this the other day, about how men will write a resume and how women will write a resume. I would write a resume 100% truthful.
Yeah, but it'd be exaggerated truth.
No, it wouldn't.
I would write a resume by going into ChatGPT and telling it some bullshit
They've done
story.
A study on this where men will actually over-exaggerate their capabilities
100%.
and women will be either completely honest or I think so if an interviewer goes, hey, can you do this? And the woman's or someone's never done it before, the woman would most likely go, I haven't, no, but I'm definitely up for learning. I'm a fast learner. Whereas a guy would go,
I'll fake it till I make it. Yes, I've done it. That would be, I remember when I first got my job with John doing film, he was like I bumbled my way into that job, but as soon as he started asking if I was able to do something, I would just immediately say yes without knowing and go, I'm just going to watch really carefully once. And if I don't get it the first time, I'm going to look like an idiot. So I just faked it till I made it.
So we're going off a
so
bit.
why look at a resume? Because it's all bullshit. So gut instinct's a good thing. I've made some massive mistakes with gut instinct because I'm also like inherently a little bit charitable, and it has been primarily over the years. It's been a skateboard business, so it's not like you're dealing with the top echelons of employees. Let's face it, you're kind of dealing with skateboarders, so they can be pretty varied and like you get some loose units. I know most of the staff have taken the piss over the years.
But that is like the hardest part of staffing this business is like what we've struggled with so many years is finding someone that can sell skate and snow. It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
So we've had to like almost have split staff where we've got skate staff and we
still do have
warehouse staff. And now as the business is growing, we've got warehouse staff and like back of house staff, and now all like digital, social media, marketing, film and editing. So there's now so many different departments that we're filling.
Look at Paris is a really good example. Who worked for Borders for 3.5 years. She came in with no knowledge whatsoever. Pretty much, she had a brother that was a skateboarder. We knew that she could potentially maybe sell snow.
Yeah.
She ended up having the ability to sell a fridge to an Eskimo just because gut instinct told me when I remember going on a trip, I snowboarded with her and I think it was Perisher one year, and she was on the phone because she was working at the pizza place next door that her grandparent owned. And I remember her talking to one of the Brazilian girls or something on the phone, and she was like an 18-year-old kid at the time. And I remember the conversation, the way she spoke to the staff member at Mimo's and thinking, holy crap, this kid's a beast. What a powerhouse little woman. And she was only a kid at the time. And just the way she handled that, you're like, oh, she could do any job. And she definitely still could. Mm. But she was she just mimicked me. Yeah. She learned how to mimic my selling style, and she was very much similar personality. So she could just copy my style, right? So that was gut instinct employing. And it worked out great for 3.5 years.
So when has gut instinct failed you?
Quite a few times. What do you mean? Think of all the people I've employed over the years that sucked. I could name...
Yeah, but were they gut instinct decisions, or were they like they're part of the family, they know skate?
So that's where your gut instinct gets messy, right?
That's not gut instinct.
Yeah, it's because your gut instinct goes out the window and you're charitable.
I have a question.
I employed Artie. Admittedly, it was for only a day. But, like, there's been people like even, I don't know, there's been just so many bad ones. I don't want to bag them out on here.
No, but what are the lessons that you have learnt through your years? Like, it's been, 27 years or something?
28 this year.
Yeah. So what are the lessons that you have learned? Like, where has gut instinct, like, shone through and where has it
The best gut instinct call I ever made, I'm talking to, no doubt at all. Like, that was just pure gut instinct, and here we are 13 years on, and you own half of everything and the debt. It's like, no doubt. That was by far the best one. There was heaps though, like, there's been a lot of good success stories. I'd still consider, Paris left, but I still consider her a success story. She was really good. There's been heaps. Ollie West was amazing. There's been so many good ones over the years, I think. There's been, I would say, 50-50, which is why gut instinct's bullshit, right? Because it's only 50%. A lot of people left. I don't think we fired as many people as you think.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've spoken to other friends who are in recruitment roles or who are high up in their workplace or their team, and they're managing a team and staff and how they go about hiring. And I speak to them and I'm like, we don't do any of that. They have a questionnaire that they have to go through, and it's ends up showing personality traits and things like that. And
but they're not selling skate. Like the first thing you got to ask a skateboard salesperson is, can you grip a deck?
You asked me that and I said no.
Yeah, but there was still something else going on with you. There was just something about the way you presented. The staff I had at the time you started, I think it was Jack Lavanas, possibly Ben Portnoy.
No, it was like Lewis Wood was at the
Oh my God. Like, it wasn't like I was surrounded by pigeons and I saw an eagle walk in. I went, maybe I should try and start surrounding myself with eagles. It was just a time when I had like a ton of skate guys around me. And I said to you, I remember early on, I'm like, I needed this buffer between me.
But I wasn't that
chaos
for
that
years.
Was Matt Mill and Jake.
I remember,
and Jesus.
it was all those boys, but I came in only working like part-time and I wasn't.
Yeah, but I could see the potential. Whereas none of those guys, I couldn't see the potential in most of them. I was right.
Can I ask, so you saw management potential in me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just by the way you presented yourself.
So, another question.
I saw creative potential in everyone else. Matt, Ollie, Portnoy, even Louis. Somehow. Not so much Jake.
Before
love you, Jake.
Before I came into the business, you mentioned and spoke about another manager that you had, and he left, or you fired him, or he quit. What happened there? And
I think his name was Shannon. I know his name was Shannon.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to mention it.
I don't think he'd care. That was a mark. Like, okay. I don't remember exactly. That was back when the internet thing was flying. So Mark and I were not in the shop. We just needed someone with a good head on their shoulders in the shop. He was all right for a couple of years. Just didn't pan out. I can't remember if he left or we fired him or what, but it just didn't sit right in the end. You just know. You just know when people... Yeah, but again, actually, you know what? There was
something that happened.
Yeah, something went down. I can't remember. I think it was one of the earlier girl staff and him didn't get on or something crazy like that. There was nothing sinister. It was just conflict, personality. That's the other big thing, right? You have this crew of people, and if you don't all get on, you have a hard time because the business is not that big. There's not like you can escape. You're all going to see each other every day.
Yeah.
This is where I can... Yeah, you've had like multiple scenarios. You've had a boyfriend scenario.
Yep.
You had Noof scenario. Even Jez now. Like, I remember Jez. You probably better telling that story about Jez than me. But
oh yeah.
You've had conflict and whatever. So you got to work your way around all those different things with staff, and that's going to be for anyone who's got a small business. That's going to be their hardest thing.
Yeah, and like the hard thing with it too is like a lot of businesses operate where they're like, your staff shouldn't be family. You should be putting the right employee in the right place, and it should be like very methodical and like, you know, in that sense. But we've always run the business as like, but even before I was in it, I essentially became family to you.
Yeah.
And everyone around Borders has become family too.
Yes and no. Like, there's been times where there's still distance between certain people. Like, it's not always like that, but most of the time it sort of felt like that.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely don't stay in touch with a hell of a lot of the people that left. So only a small percent. Like the current little crop that we had through the pandemic, that was as crazy as ever, right? That was full-blown family. Like, we did not... That bullshit where we were only allowed to be here at home. Like, we actually had no one else to talk to.
Yeah, we were coming to... And there was like 4 of us. And we were like, cool, let's just hang out.
Yeah, it was so stupid. Like, we were just doing pick and... What was that called? Fucking...
Click and collect.
Click and collect.
Still do it.
Still do that. Click and collect stuff every day. And, like, we weren't dealing with the public. We were just handing over bags of things. And, like, it was 2 years of pretty much not conversing with the general public. So, you really did become a family.
Yeah.
Like, it became like mum, dad, and 2 kids with Paris and Jez.
Yeah.
It was wild.
I've, like you mentioned before, that I've had to deal with multiple situations.
Let's talk about the boyfriend one first.
Okay.
Like, how do you manage that when there's a relationship in the workplace?
Well, that is what I've come to learn is not healthy in a business. I've also learned, do not hire your boyfriend. No. No, I think like very, very close family or like romantic relationships don't work in businesses.
No.
They can work, I think, in some situations, like if you two are starting a business together and it's just you two, or you're running something and it's like if you're equal and it's like you're 100% equal, that can work. Yeah. But I think the moment there is one person in charge and the other person who is having to answer to the other person, it does not work. No, and like you found that Rowie worked for us at the print shop and I was her boss and her manager, and there was still conflict going on when she was in another building.
Yeah, it's super hard. Like you can't tell someone you love to do something.
And I had to do that. I had to manage Mona Vale shop, the second shop we had, and tell him what to do every day.
Yeah, and it didn't work. Let's face it, he was a shit employee. Love you, Jake. Yeah. He was such a bad employee.
Just cruising. He didn't care about the work.
Sometimes I think like this is another thing, right, with employees. Sometimes as a boss, you've got to be smart enough to identify that they're not right for a job. Like Louis, who we're going to have on at some point, he said to me after he left, it was probably a few years after he left, he came up to me and said, "Thank you so much for firing me." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Man, if you hadn't fired me, I'd probably still be here. I'd still be packing boxes or working in a warehouse."
We did the exact same thing with Jamie.
Yeah.
Jamie was like, didn't know what he wanted, wasn't really paying attention, and like was kind of slacking every work. And we were like, "Jamie, just leave. Go chase what you want to chase."
It's identifying whether they're suited to the role they're in, and whether they're taking it on or want to improve what they are doing, or just go. Like the same thing, arguably, like all the creative guys, the Ollies, Matts, Portnoys, it was obvious they all needed to just fucking go and be creative.
Yeah, when all the shoe shelves just started to have tattooy art all over it.
And everything starts to get looking like a tattoo studio. You know that they should probably be tattooing.
You're kind of in the wrong location.
You walk into your warehouse and you're like, "Man, we can never get rid of that shelf now. It's sick." I guess it's just understanding personalities and learning from those mistakes.
Yeah.
It's also letting your staff have some control, right? I mean, there's the extremes there. Let's talk about Jez. I love Jez. But let's talk about Jez is still with us. He's about to reach long service leave.
If anyone hears insane. If anyone hears this interaction outside of that room, everyone would have been like, that staff member cannot talk to their boss that way.
Yeah.
But I completely understood the situation. But
at the time it was also like, I remember you coming. Jez won't care at all.
We've spoken about this multiple times. I've brought it up and pushed his buttons, and he was like, "Oh fuck, I'm sorry, Claire." And I'm like, "Dude, I don't give a fuck."
Just tell the story.
We were talking about something to do with the website and how to proceed with a task or doing something on like that. And I was like, "How about we do it like this?" And I was like, "We should do it like this, da 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 da," and offered up a suggestion. And Jez turns to me and just goes, "Claire, no offense, but stay in your fucking lane." And my response was, "Okay." Yeah,
which is a ballsy thing for an employee to say to a boss, regardless of where they work.
Yeah,
like stay in your lane is a big thing to say to someone who owns the business.
100%. But I was like, "Cool, I 100% know where you're coming from." He was like, "This is my world. I'm in control of this. Yep. I know how this works and operates. Let me do my job and you do yours."
And a lot of bosses would have probably taken that they would have been so offended they fire him.
Yeah.
And that means you just fired the person who cares the most about your business.
That's the way I saw it. I was like, he cares so much about this department that he doesn't want someone else to come in and half-ass it or not know the full inner workings. And
so that's been like, and that was one of the early times where you identified that you can't have the family thing and then get offended if someone in your family tells you to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Occasionally someone in your family is going to tell you to shut the fuck up.
Yeah. And I was like, dude, cool. You care so much about this.
That's right.
I'm all for it. Because I took emotion out of it. I was like, at the end of the day, it's a business. Yeah. There's in that room, we were making business decisions. It wasn't like we were at the pub after work and Jez told me to stay in my lane. It was in work, we were deciding a business decision and I took emotion out of it. And I was like, logically, that makes sense.
So that's a big moment when a boss can identify that someone cares so much about their job that they have the best interest of the business at heart.
Yeah, when it comes to the back end.
They're not trying to upset you. It just happened.
And it's like, in this moment, making this decision about this task, he had more knowledge.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, cool, fair enough.
Probably still does.
Yeah.
Anyway, next question.
Yep.
Who's your favourite? Who's been your favourite employee hang on. In the 13 years that you've been involved, it doesn't necessarily have to be since you owned it, but who's been your favourite?
My favourite employee.
I have favourites for sure.
That's like a long list.
Yeah, I know, but there must be one that just stands out, or your favourite story, or what. Like, my favourite story is still to this day is when little Tommy Leggett ran through the store with a snowboard and knocked a skateboard off the roof, and the skateboard fell down and cracked him in the crown of his nose, like split him open, and blood started squirting everywhere. And me, instead of like having a compassionate reaction, I was like, bro, get the fuck out of the shop, you're bleeding all over the clothes, quick. And I just shuffled him out of the shop, and I didn't for a split second think, holy shit, this kid's cracked his head open. He was probably 14 at the time. And my reaction to it was more, oh no, he's going to spurt blood on the clothes.
Not the carpet.
It's like, what the fuck am I doing? I reacted so badly, and I still think it's one of the funniest things that...
So you're talking about like humour.
Yeah, like, I mean, there's been funny employees.
Like Liv's
hilarious, man.
She makes me laugh all fucking day.
Yeah. I laugh 10 times a day when I'm working with her.
Yeah.
She
good.
Says, what did she run into the office today and go, how do you spell Dougal? It's like, what the fuck? She's taking down...
And then she goes, and you kept going, D-O-U-G, D-U-G, and then she was like, D-O-G.
Yeah.
Dog owl.
Dog owl. It's like, mate, no, but okay. She's booking in services, asking people their names, and then
she can't
has to
spell
run 100 meters to find out how to spell the name. So I don't know what she's putting in the system, but that's Liv. She's hilarious.
Yeah. That's such a hard question to ask because there has been so many, like Paris has been amazing, Scotty's been amazing, and like I could start going through the lists.
Scotty was employed as an equal, which was different. Like he was always taken on as someone to come in and sort of fix the business.
Well, that was when we had a different pathway with the business, and it was very much
pre-pandemic.
Yeah, and so yeah.
So there's been some pretty good ones.
But in terms of like hiring staff, your gut instinct is very good. I'm learning that. But I'm learning. I'm like, your parent comes in? No. But sorry.
Yeah. What about like just genuine, like there's been...
But I think in terms of like managing staff and training staff we're
still getting better.
Yeah. Well, you're getting better.
I stay out of it. The best way for me to train staff is stay out of it.
Yeah.
Because I don't like systems.
I just had a memory that came up to me, and it was like it was my first week working at Borders after I'd like rearranged a shop and you found me a job and you were like, here's 4 boxes of outerwear, put them into the system. and then you walked away. And I had to figure out.
It's training. That's called training.
That's how Al trains.
Yeah.
Whereas me, I literally did it on the weekend. I typed out a 17-page step-by-step instructions with screenshots and things.
But that was to train someone overseas.
Do you want to see that?
Well, yeah, I don't care. Like
Okay.
that's to outsource some work. Just
Yeah.
basic. That's different to training someone in the flesh.
I typed up notes for you on how to list.
Yeah.
I trained you how to do that.
Yeah. And I still don't think I could train someone. Weirdly, even though I've done 10,000.
Because the way you this is the hard part of managing different people's.
They learn differently.
Yeah. Some people learn by doing, some people learn by reading, some people learn by hearing. Like everyone's different. And then managing different people's personalities too in a workplace.
Do you think that's why men lie on resumes? Because some men, like me, learn by seeing and then doing. So they presume they can do anything. Right? It's that question, right? What percentage of men think they could land a plane in an emergency?
this is the thing.
Yeah. And what percentage of women think they could land a plane in an emergency? 80% of men think they could land a plane in an emergency.
Do I have a semi-men's brain? Because I kind of go, I'd give it a fucking crack.
Yeah, you do have a semi-men's brain. Because I
reckon
there's no fucking way, dude. It would be a disaster. If any of us had to land a plane, we're in big trouble. But
I'd just fucking pull up.
For whatever reason, we've watched enough movies or seen enough bullshit to think that
That's
all landing a plane is getting it close and then at the last second pulling back. It's not. Surely not. Surely that means a runway on fire.
I wouldn't have enough arm strength.
I don't think it's that.
Yeah, there's probably some other buttons
you're
involved.
yourself if you think this thing doesn't have power steering. Like, it's not arm strength.
We're basing way too much off movies.
So men's brains, right? They just think that we can learn anything because we all learn differently.
I think because I've grown up around a lot of men, I do think not very feminine.
So what have we taught people today? That staffing's difficult.
Yeah, hiring's difficult.
And always ask them if they know what 6 times 8 is.
Oh, that's ours thing. Yeah.
I always
Paris couldn't do it.
No.
And she's the best employee.
Yeah, half the time I ask what 6 times 8 is because it rhymes, right? So if you don't know 6 times 8, you don't know
You've just given away
tables.
your secret to hiring someone.
Yeah, so you probably, if you're going to come for a job at Borders, you might want to look up that. I can always mix it up.
Yeah.
It's not like I have to ask 6 times. But if you don't know 6 times 8, you don't know your times tables because it's the one that just is so easy to remember. And Paris couldn't do it. Mm. And she's arguably...
Yeah, because you're looking for off the bat, straight away.
Just whether you know your times table.
Yeah.
Because it used to matter more because people would be at the till and giving you cash.
Yeah, whereas now it's everything's card or so there's the till works it out for you. So
you know where the numbers are on the keyboard. You can type in the amount and take the money.
Technology's kind of overtaken that.
What about... Here's a good question.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I can think of some cracking answers to this. What are the biggest, single incident fuck-ups that you can remember from a staff member?
Are you talking about me?
I can remember one of yours that was oh my God, did she really just do that?
I know which one you're talking about.
Which one you tell?
Because I reminded you of it last week.
I never forgot it.
I reminded you of it on the weekend because you were
because Max did something super stupid.
Yeah.
And I'm
he tipped over and I was like, hey. You're like, should I just fire him? And I was like,
I was not going to just fire him.
I know.
Max has had a string of dumb shit. And he's learning, he's a kid, he'll get better. But
this is the thing. This is what you struggle with because you're not good at training. You think you put someone in a job role and they immediately should just work out how to do it.
I was able to do it.
Just because you're able to do it doesn't mean that every single person
that's the standard of human I'd like to work here. Me.
It doesn't work like that.
I know. I wish it would. I'd just be so much happier.
Just to have...
Anyway,
you
what
would
did
go
you
insane
do?
if you had multiple
employees
like you.
Tell them.
Because I like to rearrange the store so much. I was rearranging the store and we used to have really shitty built snowboard racks that were like metal framed, and they had a wooden shelf that went on the top of them that you had to like line up so that, because they had prongs, sticking up, and you had to get this piece of wood to sit on the top. So I'd moved these 2 snowboard racks, which hold, I don't know, like
40, 50 boards each.
Yeah. So
maybe 60.
Yeah, so there's probably like the entire snowboard range
120
on both snowboard racks, and I got them in place. Everything was good, and I was like putting the wood on top of the thing, and I was like, it was off by like an inch, and I just went and knocked it, and then it just slowly just starts going away from me, and I'm there holding onto it, going no. I just like in slow motion watched every single snowboard collapse and crash to the ground.
I was horrified.
And you just I just saw you walk out of the back curtain and turn around and walk back out, and I was just like,
I couldn't face it. I was like, I don't even know what to do. Like, that could be potentially $100,000 worth of destroyed shit. It was bad.
It was like 150 snowboards just in a metal rack collapsed onto it.
Somehow you got away with it.
Yeah.
But they weren't that bad. There was a bit of ripped plastic in there.
I definitely can land a plane.
Oh my God. Some of the big ones I remember are the front door of the shop being left open and a customer at the old store at 508 Pivotal Road. I think it was Ollie. I'm pretty sure it was Ollie.
Ollie was a great employee.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he just forgot to lock the fucking front door. And a customer called me and went, "Hey man, just thought I'd give you a bell, let you know I'm in your shop." And I'm like, "What? What do you mean you're in the shop?" And he goes, "I just stuck my head in to see if anyone was here and the front door's open, but no one's here and the lights are off." And I'm like, fuck. And I was like, that was a big one. Lucky the customer was a good dude and he stayed there until I could get there. Jezza left the entire warehouse open one night. Okay. That was a big one.
Since
what did you do?
Yeah.
That was a fucking ball terror.
Portnoy.
On a rush order.
Yeah. Portnoy, we were printing. We had a t-shirt job for like people dying, euthanasia, and they were like doing some
gnarly thing, right?
And they were doing some like protest or something like that, and Portnoy had a gig the night before and probably didn't go home. All of the t-shirts, there was a big square like word print, and they were all to the side and slanted. It wasn't off by a centimetre or two. It was like round the side of the body.
It was as if there's no possibility anyone was lining up anything, just liking them all. And the backs were the opposite. They were all just totally fucked. And they were not a colour that you could print over or anything. They were pink. I think they were bright pink
maroon
or something. Fucking
no spares.
No spares at all. It was a shame.
Another lesson that I've learned since coming on with Borders is like having someone that knows IT is pretty crucial, which I quickly became the IT department, because I remember when we were at 503, Ollie was on the computer and then clicked something. He goes, "Do you want software update?" And Ollie clicked it, and then we just had porn.
That was amazing. It was like, what the fuck did you just
like the middle of the shop, and it was just like images of all this porn coming up.
It was bad.
Ollie was just like, I don't know what I did. I clicked update software.
Basically, we got a... I don't think I've ever seen that before either.
And we had to get rid of that computer because it got so corrupt. That was the eBay computer.
Couldn't even fix it. Probably helped us in the end. We probably found a new system.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been some incredibly bad moments, but I don't think anyone ever got directly fired for those things. They're such bad mistakes. They're not the ones you fire people for. Weirdly.
No, because it gets to a point where like you have to give written warnings where like it's an issue or things like
warning. Must lock the shop. You fucking idiot. what's that?
Do not push over 2 racks worth.
Yeah, it's $100,000 worth of snowboards on the floor. Oh, do not misprint 100 T-shirts that are due to go out today. Fucking hell. Yeah.
Has there been anyone that you've like fired for reason? Well, then what are the reasons that you have fired people and stuff? Dude. Because like, no, I'm talking about like not just like like how do you manage before I was in here? How were you managing staff from that point of view? Because it's such a close knit family within Borders.
If you didn't get on with them, you'd eventually just find a way to get rid of them. I remember firing a guy, I won't say his name, and we'd already given him written warnings over some nonsense. Like me and Jez just had it in for him, but
there was a massive personality
clash. But we were having like this constant problem with him, and we just got so sick of dealing with him. He was an IT guy, actually, like a website based guy, and he said something so innocent, like.
I think he swore at you.
No, he didn't even swear. I think he said, you and your staff are a bunch of clowns. I went, you're fired. Done. That's it. Final thing. You're out. And in my head, I was like, and then Jez came to work and went, where is he? And I'm like, I fired him. And Jez is like, what did you fire him for? I went, he called us all a bunch of clowns. And Jez looked at me like, I've called you a cunt before. And I'm like, yeah, man, I know. But I know you didn't mean it. Like, it's just one of those things where, like, eventually you've just got to weed out the people you don't want to work with because you're too close. You're spending too much time with them, so you've got to weed them out. Yeah, I would have fired 100 people, I reckon.
Yeah,
at least 3. I mean, depends. Like where skateboarding's at its peak, and you've got so much going on. You're employing a lot of kids.
Yeah, but. Now, as the business is growing and the world is changing and updating, like we're now, like we said before, we've got shop staff, warehouse staff, like our shop staff are split. We've got IT, we've got like social media, we've got different departments now. Like we're not a small business anymore. We're massive.
It's very different to when Billy Harris would work for us, and he used to say, like he had one of the classic lines. He said, employing me to work in a skate shop is like employing Homer Simpson to work in a bowling alley. I was like, that was pretty much spot on. But he's like another guy. Like he was just a creative dude, and he shouldn't be in retail. He should have been out doing other things anyway. But that classic old mindset of just a dude who sells skateboards, it's gone. Like you have to have more skills. You have to be able to edit a podcast or whatever. You have to be able to offer more than just sitting in the shop and waiting for a guy to come in and change his bearings. So yeah, it's multifaceted, and hopefully we're getting better at employing the right people for the right jobs. That's my advice if you've got a small business, which you've taught me, is make sure you get the right people for the right jobs. Don't have people wasting their time doing data entry.
Like there is a training period and training phase where you need to be okay with someone not knowing.
I struggle with that.
You struggle with it so much, and you're like, they haven't learned yet, and I'm like, give them time. Like,
yeah, but fuck, I mean, like this is what happens, right? We give them time, they become really good, and they leave.
Yeah.
The hardest part is keeping them, even if you get someone to be good. Paris, perfect example. 3.5 years of energy was put into Paris becoming the best salesperson we've ever had, fit into the community, fit into the vibe and the feeling, and everything was good, and she left. So there were no hard feelings. She just left. It's just is what it is. She moved on. She thought there were greener pastures, so see ya. And now potentially that's not the end, but it doesn't mean. It's very hard to wait 6 months, 12 months. Like Jez took a year before he was any good. He's still here. So he's like one of those rare guys where you go, it's worth every minute of that first year of forgetting to lock the entire warehouse and, just train wreck after train wreck. But very few people last that long. Most people, you take a year to train them and they leave. So you get the best out of them right at the last week and then they bail.
So here's a question for you. Do you think it's crucial to trust your gut instinct when hiring, or do you think you would push that aside a little bit to try and like get the right person or to withstand that train? Like if you're going...
Do you want to rephrase this question? Because I don't know what you're saying.
Would you, if your gut instinct is telling you that they don't fit into the vibe, yet they're perfect for the job, what would you choose?
You've got it. I don't care how perfect you are. If nobody can be in the same room as you. We've had a lot of people like that over the years where you just have personality clashes. It's not worth having. I don't want to come to work and feel uncomfortable. So the perfect person can get fired just as easily as the person who makes a lot of mistakes, and it's irrelevant. It's got to be a bit of both. You have to have someone who you like spending time with and can do the job. Would
you push through someone who's not very good at the job?
Yeah. Yeah, I would. I have. What do you mean, would I?
I know.
100%.
I know, but I'm just questioning you because...
Yeah.
To make you think.
You would too. You're the same.
Yeah, I definitely know because I see potential.
Yeah. But you don't just see potential. You still see that harmony.
Yeah.
Like when you see everyone working well together and nobody arguing, and like when everyone's got, like if you get that hierarchy thing going on where one person thinks they're more important to it than another, if you don't shut that shit down real quick, you're going to have a really horrible workplace.
Yeah.
So you've got to watch that you're not overpaying someone and underpaying someone else, and you've just got to always try and keep everything
from
ticking along.
A question then, because you mentioned Noof before, and like Noof and I've spoken about this multiple times, but how did you feel when that's
Which situation?
The situation that happened when the transition that I went from shop staff, just being on the floor, to managing the shop and Monaval and managing staff and you were pretty much taking me under your wing and being like, cool, here's rosters, here's this, here's ordering, here's this, like he's managing everyone essentially. And so I got bumped up and like my wage was increasing, and then there was a point where Noof was like, she doesn't skate, she hasn't worked here for multiple years, how is she like, why is she getting promoted, why is she getting this? And like Noof and I butt heads for like, it was like 2 months long, to the point where I ended up coming into your office like crying because I was like, I can't do this. Like everything I do is wrong, and I'm just like, but like the reality,
did I make the wrong decision? No,
but how did you manage it at the time? Because we both stayed working there.
Well, I don't know how I managed it. I just fucking let it happen. I think you managed it, to be honest. I think you dealt with it and figured out a way to keep it calm. Look, I knew Noof wasn't going to be around forever. I don't think he wanted to be. Like it was, and to be honest, like that's your own destiny, right? If Noof wanted to learn, we're calling him Noof on a podcast. No one knows who he is. His nickname is Noof, Nathan. If Nathan wanted to further educate himself, those opportunities were there. He didn't choose to take them. So, we tried to give Noof control of that clearance store, and that didn't really work out. He just didn't really adapt to the next level up in management. Noof was partying I'm sure you won't mind me saying, he was partying pretty fucking hard at that time. Like, it wasn't like he was worried about a career. He was worried about next weekend, or even not next weekend, next day. So, it'd be probably different now. He's got a kid and life's on track, but at the time it wasn't like that. Whereas you seem to always have a goal. Like you wanted to educate yourself all the time. You were always pushing forward. He wasn't.
Yeah.
So you just got to pick a horse and back it, right? I got to pick a horse.
Did you get involved in that? Did you? Because I don't know whether you spoke. I can't remember.
I've no idea what I've done. The fact that I remember these stories is insane.
You just remember the humour.
I remember the funny shit. I still fucking love every funny moment for the last 28 years. Like, there's some of the funniest shit that's happened in this workplace. It's insane. It's so good. How many crazy characters have been through. Would you like to
tell your story about Lewis and
Which one?
The tagging gun?
No, because I might get No. I'm not telling that story. But no, he was not even. No, I can't. No, okay. I can't tell that story. He was probably fucking a kid.
Boy, no, edit that out.
Yeah, that's gonna go. No, it doesn't, because I didn't say anything. But it's sort of, yeah. No, let's go now.
Yep.
Right.
Lessons learnt.
There's been a few lessons.
Gut instinct is very important when hiring.
But it's not everything.
It is not everything.
Gut instinct's
Don't
more
worry
important.
about reading their resume, apparently.
No, fuck that.
But you always say, if they've worked at McDonald's, you'd hire them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm learning that. Don't hire kids that have no work experience whatsoever.
Like, work in a cafe, work in
hospitality for 10 minutes, people. Go get a fucking real job before you come to Borders and ask for a job. Because I'm not going to hire anyone ever again that hasn't had a job in a high pressure situation.
Yeah.
And got a good, like someone could come in and go, I worked at Macca's. Here's my old manager. Give him a call and I will find out straight away whether you're any good. Because those jobs suck. And if you want to come and get a good job in a place like Borders, go do a shit job first so you appreciate the good job. Don't just come get the good job and think it's only going to get better from here, because it doesn't. It's a fucking skateboard shop. You should be stoked to work in it. Yeah,
everyone goes, oh, you have the sickest job. You work in a skate shop. You must just like hang around with script decks all day. I'm like, it is not that.
It's not that at all. But if you go make 4,000 cheeseburgers in a week, I'm sure you'll appreciate that taking the bins out and everything isn't that bad.
Yeah.
So, go get a real job. That's a wrap. I don't think we meant to do that.